Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, bring you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and privilege to have Mr. Wojtek Sokolowski on the phone. He's the bassist and backing vocalist of Operus. They are a symphonic classical metal band, and they have a debut album called and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Cenotaph.
Yeah, that's right. Cenotaph is
awesome.
The right pronunciation.
Awesome. That's going to be released on October 13th. Friday the 13th for all my horror fans out there on Dark Star Records. So, Wojtek, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Thank you for having us. We're just getting ready to launch this album on the 13th, just as you said. So, just getting all our ducks in a row before the big day.
Friday the 13th, this album's coming out. Are you guys kind of nervous about this, or just want to hurry up and get this over with and get it out to the folks?
You know what? Nervous is not the right way to put it. Just more excited and just kind of curious as to what happens and just to hear people's opinions on this album. We've been really careful to keep this album under wraps and, so that it doesn't leak or anything like that. So, we're just, really curious and anxious to see how everybody interprets it.
What's impressed you the most about making the debut album, Cenotaph? What's caught your eye about it the most, if anything?
Well, that's kind of a difficult question considering, I'm a part of it, so I'm kind of my own worst critic. And, I think all the guys, we try to remain as humble as possible. But one thing that, the best thing about this album and how it came together, I think, was working with, such a talented team of guys, and especially our producer and the recording engineer, Jonathan Leduc-Francois from Montreal. He's from Silver Wing Studios. So, he was just very passionate and very excited about this album, and he had all the criteria that we needed and wanted when it comes to recording classical instruments and blending them into metal. So, just the way that all came together and how it turned out, that was probably the thing that impressed me the most. Working
with Jonathan on this, did he kind of let you guys go about your own way and then step in when he needed to, or how hard did he push you guys on this?
Yeah, Jonathan is very knowledgeable when it comes to, music and music theory and all that kind of stuff. But, within the band, we have Oscar Angel, who, studied music on a university level and completed conservatories, as well as our cello player, Robin House. So, we do have guys in the band that are very knowledgeable. So we didn't know exactly what it is that we want, but when it came to, throwing opinions that were a little bit outsider point of views, that's where a lot of the good things about having a guy like Jonathan came into play. And, perhaps just being the outsider vote to make things happen.
I know this is kind of hard. These are kind of like your guys' children and favorite sports cars, whatever, favorite baseball, basketball, football teams. But any songs off this album that stand out more to you than any on it right now? Possibly, Wojtek? Any? Possibly?
No, absolutely not. And the reason why I will say that is because, and a lot of people ask me this question, what is a song to listen to that kind of gets everybody an impression, an idea of what Operus is? The thing about this album is that this album was created in a way that it's really meant to be heard in its entirety. And the reason for that is it's meant to be basically a story, that takes you on a journey that at least we hope, whereas a lot of bands kind of stick to one genre and kind of go with one kind of speed or tempo or kind of feeling. We have slower songs, faster songs that, are sad, songs that are happy. So that's why it's really hard to have a song that stands out, because they're all so different. And without hearing the album in its entirety, you don't really have a good idea of what this band is really about.
I know you guys have been around for a while now, especially as musicians. How much growth musically have you seen yourself and this band go through up to the release of this debut album, or has it been just more of a personal growth for each of you guys?
I definitely think it's been a little bit of both. I know for me especially, it's been a huge growth. I noticed big improvement when it comes to musical ability and also musical knowledge, working with these guys. Mm-hmm. I was never challenged as much as I am, working with Operus. So that's huge for me. I really appreciate working with guys like that and guys that challenge me and makes me strive to, making sure that everybody's up to par and that nobody's being left behind.
Being like a classical metal band, an orchestra type deal, do you think you know, this is like a fresher breath air of music possibly getting out there more to folks than, say, like your basic album that comes out with vocals and things like that?
Well, it's definitely different. I mean, so far from the people who heard it, everybody's opinions are, you know, that it's something very different. I'm not gonna, you know, go as far as saying that it's, you know, that we pioneered a new genre. Like that would be absolutely false. It has, you know, it has been around for quite some time. I mean, for me, Procol Harum, I'm not sure if you're familiar, it was a band, you know, from the early 70s that came out that kind of pioneered the idea of mixing rock and classical music together to create that big orchestrated sound. And, you know, classical and metal is kind of one and the same. I mean, you wouldn't have one without the other. Well, sorry, I should say you wouldn't have metal without classical. So it just makes sense. I mean, it's the big epicness of the music that gives it a big excitement, which is, you know, metal.
You know, and I want to say this, and people don't think I'm crazy, but this is just what I like. I love to see bands like this that do a lot of instrumentals. Metallica's one of them. They did a lot of instrumental stuff on their albums.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I said, it's something that's been around for a long time, and more bands nowadays are mixing the classical element with, you know, with what it is that they play. I mean, even thrash metal bands are now combining, you know, orchestras and are performing now with orchestras, and, you know, black metal bands such as Dimmu Borgir are performing with orchestras and with choirs. So, you know, it is something that's, you know, it's another aspect to the show.
Do you guys do anything differently during the recording process to help keep your minds open and fresh, to not let the music get stale or help you stay focused? Do you guys do anything differently?
I mean, you know, there is a certain aspect of, you know, having a pendulum swing one way or the other when it comes to recording. Like, the thing is that we do pre-production on the album before we hit the studio. So we do have a general idea of what the album is going to sound like, but different interpretations from different members of the band. And like I said, if Jonathan steps in and, you know, tells us that, you know, something would sound really cool over here or something like that, then, you know, we're obviously open for ideas when it comes to that. In terms of keeping things fresh for us, you know, that is, it's hard to do. I mean, you know, we strive to make everything perfect, and because we strive to make everything perfect, it's really, really repetitive. So, I mean, going forward, writing material for albums to come is something that, you know, we do even during the process of recording an album.
What can fans expect at a show from Operus once you guys start to take this out on the road, man?
You know, we are very eager to take this on the road. Currently, you know, we have a show planned for October 14th, which is the day after the release, and that will be here in Toronto, Canada. After that, you know, the plan is to start really aggressively touring and taking this album out to the masses. So, you know, we have right now talks of South America, after that Europe, and hopefully the U.S. very soon.
We're living in the digital era of recording albums and plus social media. Do you think this is going to help out bands like you guys coming out now? Plus, do you think that it's going to help everybody, basically? Because I know social media is a big thing to get music out there a lot quicker and faster for folks to take a listen to.
You know what? Social media is a very double-edged sword, and we live in a time where, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons. Is it easier for people to obtain your music? Absolutely. The negative aspect of social media, and also the way that the technology has advanced so much over the years, is it doesn't take a group of professionals anymore to put out music. You know, so there's a bunch of bands that are now being blended in with, you know, guys who just, you know, out there doing hobby stuff. So it's really hard to get it out there and get recognized, because there is a sea of many bands out there, and it's so easy to put out your music, like I said. Whereas back in the day, you know, it was a lot harder to get your music out to the masses. But if you really had something special and something that caught, you know, the attention of someone, it was, I think, in my opinion, was a little bit easier to get out there, especially if you had a really good product. Whereas right now, it's not as easy.
Support-wise, is there a country or region that stands out more or surprises you that you guys get a lot of support from that area?
You know what? I wouldn't say so. I think we went into this knowing exactly what the target audience would be, or maybe not even target audience, but the crowd that will, appreciate the style of music a little bit more than others. I mean, I was born and raised in Europe, in Poland to be exact. So, in Europe, classical music is something a little bit more ingrained, and then the roots of people, as opposed to, over here, you don't really have people growing up on classical music per se. It's kind of seen as music for prudes or old people. I guess. So definitely Europe. South America is really big on symphonic metal. They're also huge fans. So yeah, no, it's kind of been, those are the people that kind of seem to be enjoying it the most. And, but that doesn't mean anything that there isn't fans over here. I mean, symphonic metal does absolutely fantastic in North America as well. You have bands like Camelot from here, amongst others. And when those bands tour, there's a lot of people that come out. What I'm trying to get at is it might be a little bit harder for a brand new band to break out with this style of music over here on this continent as opposed to it would be in Europe.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said that's what I want to do right there?
Well, music in general, it wasn't really my decision really to start music. I started playing piano at a very, very young age. Obviously, my parents kind of made that happen. And then after a while, I stopped music for quite a bit until it was just something that was cool again. I had friends in high school playing in bands and all that stuff. I was like, man, I should really get back into it. So, at that point, I had some background in musical knowledge. I took music classes, and just my love and passion for it just went on there. And I think what got me to stick with music was the performance factor. I always loved performing. I loved the feedback from people. I love doing that. So that is definitely what kept me going for all these years, and I hope that I can continue doing it for many more with Operus. And Operus being such a theatrical sounding band, I think the possibilities are endless for it.
Folks, Operus' debut album, Cenotaph, will be released October 13th, Friday the 13th on Dark Star Records. Please pick this up and give this band a good chance. I'm actually going to pick this up myself. So, because like I said, I like stuff like this. I like a different range of music, but I like classical stuff too. So yeah, go laugh at me. I don't care. Wojtek, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates, things like that? How can they do that?
Everything is going to be, available. All the info that one would need to know about Operus will be available on our Facebook page. The album is available for pre-order right now through Google Play, iTunes, and Amazon, I believe it is. So you can pre-order now. And same goes for, when the album is released, same those channels as well as many more. So all that info as to all the channels will be available on our Facebook page, and for the merchandise likewise.
Good sir, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Sure, okay. Well, this is Wojtek Sokolowski of Operus, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Please check out Operus, get their new album, debut album, I should say. I guarantee they will not disappoint you. So thanks so much, Wojtek, for doing the interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us on behalf of the whole band.